and welcome. We are back with another TeaTalks, and today I have my really good friend, Anton Van Der Raes.
Hello. Hello. Thank you. How are you? It's lovely to see you.
It's lovely to see you too.
Yeah.
What have you been up to today?
I was in East London. I went to Turtle Bay.
Did you?
Yeah. Which was nice. I haven't actually been since, I don't think, the last time was when we went together. Which is funny because I found a photo. I signed into Facebook because I sign into very sporadically, but I found a photo from 2018 of me, you, and a friend of yours. And I've got all platinum blonde hair. I have no idea what was going through my mind when I was living in Croydon for that short period of time. But I had platinum. Do you remember when I had my hair all blonde? And a baseball cap. And we're sitting in Turtle Bay. And it's a nice photo. I need to send it to you.
Alright.
And you're wearing a headscarf.
Yeah, I probably had a treatment on my hair. Croydon, isn't it?
Yeah. And then, no, tell a lie. The next time after that is when we did a surprise party for Ola. Well, it wasn't really a surprise, but apparently Ola didn't like that.
Okay, so what tea are you drinking?
Ginger and turmeric, which is a fantastic tea. I've been drinking it every day since last August, which will be August 2021. And the reason why is because I discovered some inflammation in my lungs last year by the off chance, and I found out the benefits of turmeric and how it can reduce inflammation in your body naturally. And at the time it was a thing where the doctors say we can wait and see how it pans out. Most of the time it will just go away by itself. So I took the initiative into my own hand and obviously tried to implement dietary lifestyle of speeding up that process, and I discovered this tea called Good Earth, which is a Californian company. I don't know if you actually know how in California, but and it's probably one of the best teas I can think of, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alright.
And I drink it every day without fail, every morning. Well, most mornings.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm on today.
The tea journey. I have got some hibiscus. Right, so it's your first time on TeaTalks. Thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
And you know the drill. Gonna throw some questions at you.
Of course.
Are you ready?
I am, yeah.
Alright, let's get into it.
Sure.
What was the last book you read?
The last book I read, I recently read a book that everybody would know. It's called To Kill a Mockingbird. And last time I read that was when I was studying GCSE literature. And during my early years in secondary school, I was misbehaving quite a lot. Not in ways of like I was a bad person. I was a chatty person. I wasn't really listening in class. And I got put into a very strict English class when I was in year 9 with a teacher who I would hear screaming down the hallways that I was terrified of secretly. She was very, very short, very small, but she had a loud voice. And I was dreading the fact of being in her class, and the first year she made me read To Kill a Mockingbird from like front to back and then back to front.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with the book, and I recently reread it again after like, I'm going to sound very old now, 15 years, 18 years maybe. So that was it, yeah. So it's an amazing book because it's the conflict in it, which is crazy to think that in our most recent pastime, that people of colour were facing, unbelievable prejudice. So that was the last book I read. Actually, I also read Garland book, The Beach. Yeah, I read that too.
The same as the film?
Yeah, he's the writer of the film, yeah.
Alright. What was the last film you watched?
The last film I watched or the last good film I watched? Because those are two different
Give me
things.
both.
The last film I watched was The Tax Collector, which I wasn't a huge fan of. It's very typical Netflix. Yeah, you know. The last amazing film that I watched, that's one of my favourite films, is Taxi Driver. You know, so
you watched it again recently?
I did. I watched it again recently. Yeah, I love that film.
If this is your first time being introduced to Anton, he is an incredible artist, and I'm not just saying that because we're friends. Like, genuinely, I'm always like, how did that come out these little hands? So I wanted to ask you, where did your art journey start, and who are some of the biggest influences?
Oh, wow. So I'm, as you know, I'm half Guyanese, like you, and half Dutch, North Belgium. And I'm from a town just outside of Antwerp, which is really the hub of like post 19th century oil paintings. Like, if I can compare it, it was basically like the Silicon Valley when it comes to oil paintings. That's where like I'm from. So it's really embedded in like the seams of my Belgian family. So my granddad is an artist. My great grandfather was an artist. So it was kind of always there anyway. It was kind of expected of me to be able to draw. So it wasn't really such a significant thing for me to be able to draw. But obviously my biggest immediate influence was my dad, because he is just a naturally artistic person. Even the way he decorated our first family home in sort of the late 90s, it was extremely postmodern. I didn't understand why he would want exposed brickwork and why he had like raw floorboards and upcycled furniture. I didn't understand this in 1997. And you look at all the swanky apartments now, and that's just all the range now. But yeah, definitely my dad. He would always discuss art with me, take me to a lot of galleries, and his friends as well. He had some amazing friends, because my dad had me quite young. He was 20 when he had me, and he moved over to England soon after I was born in Belgium with my mum, and they were very young, so they were kind of in that London art scene, you know. Goldie, for example, they're in that kind of circle, and you know, the guy from Massive Attack. It was just like really creative, like kind of like the people I'm surrounded, with now. And you know, it was kind of like this sort of Kensington Battersea, I'd call them, and you know, they would go to these really wild sort of parties, and I was just around them a lot. You know, fashion designers as well. Even like Alexander McQueen, my dad was friends with him. I used to go to, so I didn't know who he was. So I grew up like with so many creative people around me who I didn't necessarily know who they were. They were just my mum and dad's friends, and I just kind of absorbed everything from them. So I would see, you know, my dad's friends just doing little sketches on the side of a newspaper, and I'd be like fascinated by what you could do with a pen. And you know, my dad would draw like he mostly does like portraits of not portraits, right? He mostly does landscape drawings of natural stuff. So it kind of sort of stemmed from them, and then I went to art uni, typical, but I basically slept through it. But yeah, and then I draw just to relax. It was never a thing of, oh, I want to be an artist. I want to be a filmmaker. I didn't want to be, but that is art as well. But that was really what I want to be, as a filmmaker rather than just an artist, you know, like someone who draws. But
you do that as well. You dabble in a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I definitely do, and I've been working on a short recently, which I'm proud about. I hope to release that soon, and then move on from them. It is a hard world to enter, as you know.
Yeah.
So, but with the drawing itself, it's the only time when I'm it's the only time I'm not thinking. And that's the thing, people say, oh, how do you do that? How do you draw like that? And a lot of people, when they try to draw, they concentrate so hard on trying to draw something to look perfect. And it's the only time I'm not concentrating. I concentrate on everything in my life, but that's the only time I don't need to concentrate.
Free.
And that's the thing, you've got to let your hand just go. If you let your hand,
But where did
flow.
you start? Did you start like doodling and like?
Yeah, from as far back as I can remember. Like I was just doing doodle. Like I remember I did my mum was late, typical Caribbean mum, very late to pick me up from primary school. And I think I was about 4 years old. I still have it. And I was with a teacher. I think I was in like year 1 or nursery or reception or whatever. And I did this she gave me, they were kind of like crayons, but they weren't, well, they were crayons, sorry. And she said, draw your face. And I drew my face, and I still have it. And I brought it home and I showed it to my dad, and he showed it to one of his friends. And it ended up in a gallery in London,
wow.
yeah. And I look at it now, and I didn't know at the time, but it looked very Basquiat type face. It's actually probably one of my
greatest pieces.
Best drawings. I was like 4
Was you
years old.
exposed to Basquiat by that age?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah.
There was no idea. No idea. The first artist I ever really, really knew was Vincent van Gogh. Because I learned about him, and obviously him being Dutch as well. But then, then obviously it further developed, and then my art journey just it took me to some amazing places. Palestine, for example. I have some friends who are involved with the Banksy collective, and it still exists, but it's called the Waldorf Hotel, and it's named after the Waldorf hotel in New York, but it's called the Waldorf Hotel because it's on the separation border in the West Bank between Israel and Palestine, which is a very sad and depressing situation. And the Banksy Collective have built this hotel, which technically is an exhibition, but it's also to invite people to come and see Palestine, which is a very beautiful country. One of my favorite countries to visit. And yeah, it brought me there, and that was probably one of the most moving and amazing places I've ever been to. And I went by myself. It was the first time I actually solo traveled as well, which I would say everybody should do if they get a chance, is to solo travel.
I agree.
It does. It's not scary. It
expands your mind.
Yeah, it expands your mind. You discover new things about yourself, and you feel alive, really. And I think that's the thing about life, is that we are constantly on a search of things that make us feel alive. And if it's art, if it's alcohol, if it's smoking, if it's relationships, if it's money, if it's work, if it's gambling, some things are not as healthy for us, but some things are. Try to find a healthy alternative to make you feel alive. But yeah, life is a strange thing, let's be honest. It's a very odd thing. It's a beautiful thing, but it's a very, very strange thing. We didn't choose to be here.
Yeah.
We will watch a TV program about somebody with terminal cancer, and we will be sad and depressed about watching somebody knowing that they're going to die. Yet we all know we're going to die anyway. And that's the thing, is that when you're young, you have this kind of element of invincibility, and you think, and it's okay to think that, and I think you should continue thinking that. I'm not saying that please don't change your mindset, or don't start thinking you're invincible. No, if that makes you, if you maintain the happiness, if you're happy in yourself, continue thinking that you have this invincible feeling until you have to think about it. I don't think it's healthy at a 25-year-old or 35-year-old to think about their mortality. I don't think it's healthy. I've spent too many years of my 20s thinking about dying, and it's the worst thing. I mean,
you just have to I think you need to come to a place within yourself of what that means.
Yeah.
That transition, and then you're comfortable.
Absolutely.
To leave that
Yes.
alone,
Yeah.
because your soul knows.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not gonna lie. I had a privileged upbringing in a sense. I had great parents, but I did suffer from anxiety in my late teens up until today. And this has gone on for 15 years. and it's been it affected me a lot, impacted me a lot. A lot of stuff I've written, a lot of. But the good thing is, all the anxiety and all the stuff that I went through, the stress and the worries and everything like that, I translate it into art, which I know sounds cliche, but that was. So when I draw, it's not like, oh look, I've just drawn this photo of this sort of guy from India, and this is an expression of my anxiety and the pain inside of my heart. That's nonsense. It's absolutely rubbish. I'd be lying to you if I said that. That had nothing to do with anything that I'm drawing. Has nothing to do with what I felt inside. I've just drawn because I wanted to escape what I was feeling inside, and I drew something that had absolutely nothing to do with what I was feeling inside. You know, a lot of people will say, I made this, you know, like Adele, and I love Adele, she's a fantastic artist, but it's very commendable to when somebody says, I created this piece of art because I was so depressed and I had this and that, and this is what I created. Wow, how amazing and beautiful that is. You created this in this moment in your life when you were so sad and you had heartbreak, and your mum just passed away and you lost all your money and you lost your house and you're homeless, and you've created this amazing piece of art, if it be music or a canvas or, you know, anything, or a poem. And all my art that I've ever drawn, all the stuff I've ever made, has nothing to do with what I ever felt. I've done that to escape what I was feeling, and that's as brutally honest as I can be. You know, some poetry I can read back at the time and I can put myself back in the headspace, but when it comes to art, like drawing and stuff, it was never ever connected. It was always an escape. So what I'm looking at is escape. So when I look at these pages, I can tell, I felt like this month. I can tell that, but somebody to see that, they'll say, wow, that's an amazing drawing. They would not know that I drew what was going on in my life at that moment. You know, so, and that's the thing, a lot, it would be more cooler for me to say, I drew this Indian guy, I drew this African tribal leader, because I felt like this, and this is how I translate. That's nonsense. It wouldn't be true.
But then what kind of underlying things are coming up to attract you to certain images? Because they're very strong images that you draw.
I've got this thing, I don't know what it is, like even in the little sort of short film things that I've done, I always have a scene where the protagonist looks at the camera like face on, you know, literally, yeah, just face on, right, face on, eyes to the camera, right into the camera, and that's such a non-conventional thing to do, especially in a short film aspect. You will never have Leonardo DiCaprio look straight into the camera. And I do that because it really draws in whoever is looking at. You're locking eyes with that image, and most of my drawings, you always see the eyes, and they're always looking at you. So you're looking at the drawing, and it's looking back at you. You know, and that's because looking into somebody's eyes is a very, very, very intense thing to do, but it's also a way of connecting to a person. You know, if I was to speak down while I'm talking to you, I'm not going to connect with you. I'm like, you know, you look into someone's eyes, you know, it's like, and as cliche as it sounds, they say the eyes are the window to the soul. But it's not that. I feel like you can see the world, a piece of the world in someone's eyes. You know, I don't mean that in necessarily in a romantic way. You can just see a piece of the world in someone's eyes. You know, so that's why I do that. That's why I draw like that. Yeah.
What's your favourite thing to draw? Like, do you like drawing eyes, hair, hands?
I like drawing faces. I love faces. Every face has a story, a journey, and yeah. I feel like somebody's settled expression is a representation of their past life.
Really?
Yeah, I believe that. If it be the lines in their face, and the way they close their eyes, the way they open their eyes, the way they engage with you, the way they look at you, is all a reflection of their past life, of their ancestors, of everything. So I love eyes. It tells many stories, and sometimes it will tell you a story that's not even true, but that doesn't matter, because what is true? We don't even know what is true. We don't know where we really came from, and we don't know where we're going. So why do we need to know what is true? You know.
Just live it.
Exactly. And that's the thing, a lot of people, well, I shouldn't speak for a lot of people because I don't know everyone, but me, I'll speak of me. I used to get caught up in what is the purpose of my life? What is the purpose of life? What am I doing? Why am I here? What's the point? And I don't mean that in a suicidal way because I've never felt suicidal. Luckily, I've never felt that. I do feel for people who have. But I think a lot of people have gone through a point in life where they've questioned, what am I doing here? Why me? Why now? You know? And I came to the conclusion only recently, maybe last year, that I didn't need to find the answer. I don't need the answer to why I'm alive anymore. And I used to feel like I needed to. I used to feel like I'm leading up to that. Throughout my 20s, I'm leading up to the day I'm going to find out why I'm truly here. Is it because I win an Oscar for Best Picture? Is it because I, you know, exactly. Like, oh, that's my purpose then. The truth is we all want to be humanitarians. We all want to be...
But we all want to create that. It's just what, like in this realm, what you want to be. Like that's you said, we're going to leave at some point.
A lot of people create their own fantasy. You know, you can be whoever you want to be on Instagram, let's be honest. You know, you can be anyone on the internet. And a lot of people are. And a lot of people get misconceived what they see on the internet, on social. You know, social media is one thing that's never affected me personally. It's never affected me. I've only embraced it or felt inspired by things I've seen. But a lot of people I know, you know, have been personally affected by Instagram, and to the point where they will have to deactivate at certain times. And there's nothing wrong with that. I totally get it. But I've never ever got to that place where it's affected me like that, where I've looked at something and thought, oh, look at this person doing a lot better or doing more than I am. Because no one in my life had ever told me that I can't do something. That's the thing, it's sad. There's so many people that I've met who've always told me. A lot of people told me I couldn't do this and that and whatever, and here I am proving them wrong. And the funny thing is, no one in my whole life, I'm the first person who will say on camera, no one in my whole life has ever told me I can't do anything. If I would have said I wanted to be the Prime Minister of the UK when I was young, everyone around me would have said, that's definitely possible with you.
Yeah.
You've got it, Anton. You definitely can do that. The only person who told me I couldn't do anything was the person looking back at me in the mirror, myself. I'm the only person who's ever told me that I can't do something. You know, and I have been my own worst enemy. You know. And there's a thing, I don't watch basketball, but there's a guy I do admire, who's a basketball player, Dennis Rodman, which everyone sees him as, you know, quite wacky. He's a bit out there. You know who Dennis Rodman is?
I do.
Yeah. So he said something. You know when someone says something and it sticks with you forever? And I was watching this thing once, and he was talking about his life and where he was really depressed when he was sat in a car and he was going to kill himself. He had a 6-shooter, which is a pistol, and he was going to shoot himself in the head. And a voice came to him and said, don't kill yourself, kill the old you and become a new version. And that really stuck with me, you know. And for me, over the last year, I decided I was going to kill the old person of me. Not physically kill them, but kill that person.
Yeah.
To shed the person, to become like a butterfly and become the new version of me. And it's taken a lot. Last year has been the hardest year of my life, to be honest. Mostly because of what I told you about in the beginning with the inflammation, which wasn't too much of a big deal, but for somebody with health anxiety, it's a massive deal. And I wanted to completely eradicate. You know, I cut my hair. You know, my hair was always quite long. It was always, you know, quite stylish and stuff like that. And even the whole fashion thing, like, I just distanced myself from my past, really. And I'm proud about the things I did in fashion. You know, my dad would always say to me, no matter what you want to be in life, just try to be a good person. You know, and I've always lived by that. And I had a conversation with my sister the other day, and we were talking about how would we have preferred if our parents had been a bit more harder on us about what we should be doing in life. But I have no regrets because I do feel like I'm a good person. You know, and I can say that, and that's not eventually where I do honestly believe I'm a nice person, and I really did have a great dad. He taught me so much from a very early age, and my mom too. I grew up in a family full of women as well. You know, my dad again would say things to me as a child that really embedded to me as a grown man, and very important things that I didn't realize was important at the time until I was older. You know, for example, he would always say to me when I was a kid, never look at a female as just a potential romantic partner. Look at them as a person and a friend first, then see them after that. If it could be a romantic thing, but always look at them as a person first. Always look at them as a friend too. And that's why I've been able to maintain very positive relationships. You know, so yeah, I feel like I've gone completely off topic now. But
so obviously, you know, the pandemic was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
And I've seen like behind the scenes and checked in and stuff like that. But in your own words, what would you say are some of your coping mechanisms to check in with your mental health and make sure that you're feeling balanced in this crazy world?
What do I do?
Yeah, what are some of your go-to things you do?
I listen to a lot of music. I love reggae music. I draw. And one thing about me, and this may not be the best thing to do, so please don't take this as advice, is I will isolate myself. You know, when I used to have panic attacks when I was in my late teens, I would put my mind in the middle of the Antarctica where there was only ice and snow around me, and I would envision being in the middle of the Antarctica, just myself, and that used to calm me down, and I still would do that today. And that's why when you go to my house, it's all white. You notice all the walls are white. It's one of the most neutral, calming things for me. And the reason why it was calming was because it's a whole blank canvas again. You know, if you think about stress in terms of like Tetris, you ever play Tetris?
Yeah.
And you know when the blocks are coming and you know you're losing, and all of a sudden the blocks are coming down too fast, and it's like, and then you hit that right block and they all clear, and you have that, you know, it's like letting the air out of a balloon feeling. You know, and sadly people struggle with finding that feeling, and you know they will go to other things that will make them feel that way, which is not the healthiest, such as alcohol or drugs, hot baths as well, and that's really it. Really, sleep.
Yeah, that's a powerful one.
Sleep. You know, you always do feel better after sleep. You know, so.
So what kind of things inspire you?
People just getting on with their life happily. My friends, of course, you guys, my partner, my family.
I'm trying to pretend like you can't hear.
My family. And just good people. I love being around good people who are just decent folk. Nature, very cliche. But the Caribbean is probably the foundation, because without the Caribbean, all the things that I would have just named wouldn't exist. Technically, you know. Yeah, the Caribbean, definitely.
It inspires you.
Yeah. I mean, when I go back, everything that I've said to you today about avenues of escape, drawings, or, you know, serenity and people and peace and art, hot baths and sleep and everything like that, nature, all of that is in the Caribbean. As soon as you get off the plane, I will come off the plane in Barbados and I will feel a weight that I didn't even know existed just drop as soon as I've stepped off the first step of the plane. And I think, wow, I was carrying all that, I had no idea. And it just like, and the entire time I'm there, it's gone. You know, and the allure of that place. And it's not, you know, I tell people all the time, you should go to the Caribbean. And they will think, oh, it's because of the beaches and the parties. No, it's nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with the beaches. Of course, it's got beautiful beaches. Of course, they got a pie scene, but I'm not a pie person anymore, you know. But it's the people, it's the sun, it's the heat, it's the way of life. It's like you feel normal.
Yeah.
And I think when you're in London, it's very, when you live in a big city, it's very hard to feel normal. And we always search for feeling normal, really. But some of us don't know what normal is. It's very hard to not know what normal is when you're in London or New York or even LA. Maybe you don't know what normal is. You think you do, and you see what normal is around you, and it's like reach for the stars. You know, we're all trying to reach for the stars when you live in a big city. That's what it is, you know. City of dreams. That's why they call it the city of dreams, because everybody goes to the city. Everybody wants to be something or somebody, and that's the saddest thing. We can't all be that. We can't all be Adele. We can't all be Rihanna. But you can still just be as important and significant without being famous.
Yeah.
Fame doesn't necessarily mean success or being happy or being a good person. You know, a lot of people are famous for the wrong reasons.
Exactly.
But the saddest thing is, we all just want to be loved.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Well, you're in love now, aren't you?
Yeah. But I've been fortunate that I've never felt that I was ever unloved, if it be family love, friend love. I've never felt that. So I've never had aspirations to be famous or whatever. I don't think I'd ever really want to be famous. I don't think I would enjoy that. You know. I've got like obviously like you guys, my closest friends who I do stuff that are in the limelight, and obviously that's probably going to come to a situation of where their fame will grow. But I think you guys are strong enough to handle it and wise enough to handle it. So you know, I don't have any worries about you guys. To be honest.
So what does self-love look like to you?
Taking care of yourself. Diet.
That is self-love, isn't it? Yeah.
100%. You know, you wouldn't put sugar in your car. Would you? You wouldn't. What happens when you put sugar in a car?
Nothing.
Everybody knows a car breaks down when you do that. Yeah, it's a fact. You put sugar in a car, it breaks down.
It wouldn't even go.
Yeah, it would literally break down. So, why would you over-excess and putting sugar into your own body?
It's crazy.
Right. Or saturated fat, or too much fast food. So, diet is a form of self-love. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm better than everyone because I eat this. No. I still love, you know, a pizza and a burger. It will be a vegan burger, but I still love a burger. But yeah, diet, taking care of yourself. That the saddest thing is, it's the word vain. I really hate that word. When somebody says that person's vain, no, they're not vain. Do you go to someone's house when their house is clean and you say to them, you're very residentially vain? You don't say that, do you? Oh my God, how residentially vain are you because your house is clean? But when someone takes care of themselves, oh, you're vain. It's nonsense. People say that because they're not taking care of their own self. And they see someone who's doing something that they should be doing or they feel they should be doing, so they put them down for it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. If you want to, you know, get a haircut every week, go ahead and do it. You know, that's absolutely up to you. Your body is your temple. Do what you want to do, you know. So that is self-love. It's taking care of yourself, eating right, drinking enough water, and appreciating the mechanism of your own body, because there's so many things that need to work simultaneously for you to just walk to the bathroom, to the kitchen. It's amazing what a body needs to be able to do, and take care of it. You know, there's only so much it can deal with, and a lot of us do put a lot of stress onto our bodies, and we don't realize because our bodies can't speak to us and say, slow down, stop, don't do that, don't eat that KFC, don't do that, don't eat that In-N-Out burger. Just in case there's people in LA watching.
Yeah, there will be.
So I take pride in taking care of myself. So yeah, taking care.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
What do you want to leave in the world?
What, me personally, or as in legacy, or?
Yeah.
I think just to be known as a good person, somebody who is supportive of others, a selfless person, a supportive person, and that's really it. If I can, in some shape or way, if I inspire somebody to feel good about themselves, I'll be happy. That's it, really. What else? I couldn't really think of anything more important to anyone else at the end, you know. Just to be happy and live your life, because it's a gift. And enjoy your gift. And don't worry about the end too much. Don't do what I do. What I think about, what you would think about, oh my God, I'm dying, or this and that. Don't do that. Live your life, be happy, be carefree, but look after yourself. Okay, there's a difference between carefree and being irresponsible, and being carefree and responsible. Be carefree but responsible. So that would really be what I would advise people to do. See the world as well. Go traveling.
Yeah.
Go traveling. Go fall in love. You know. Go do all that. Yeah, do all that stuff. Feel something. Go and feel.
Yeah.
You know. That's what you need to do. Go and feel. That's what life is. And even if you have a heartbreak, it doesn't matter. Still go. Still go feel.
Grow.
Yeah. You need to have a heartbreak, otherwise you won't know how to feel. So.
Beautiful. So can we flash the audience a little bit of art?
Of course. Yes. Oh, you want to?
Yeah, and then I'll get this.
Okay. Can I send you the scans?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It really is.
So cool. Wow.
It's weird because when I show it to other people, it's only then I really appreciate it. You know, when you do something alone, it's just you don't really think too much. These are cool, but these are supposed to be combined together, which is kind of cliche, but it says a lot about the world in terms of what's going on, especially in America.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's mad, you know. I feel like you're gonna blow.
There's me saying I never want to be famous.
He is already, you don't even know it.
Just want to be a quiet boy in Forest Hill.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. That is really gorgeous. Wow.
This one everyone seems to like the most,
So cool.
which is my least favourite one, which is weird.
How long did they
Be like 5 hours.
5 hours?
5. That one probably maybe 4. Shading with a pen is something different.
Those eyes are intense. It's actually staring right in the
Yeah.
camera.
See, they
Literally like what you said.
apart from this one, but I think that of just itself of what he was doing. You know, there's many things you could think. Well, what is this man doing? He's hunting clearly. But why is he hunting? And he clearly wants to feed his family, in my opinion. But yeah, that could be the only other reason why he's not hunting for sport. So
Sport.
it's the intensity.
Some people do that,
him.
no?
fixing. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's the intensity, but this guy.
Yeah, no.
Definitely not in his attire, but it's the intensity of the fact that, to me, if he doesn't find any source of food, then his family will not eat that day. Yeah, I can wake up and I can go to a supermarket and buy whatever I want and go home. The privileges that we have living in the Western world is something far beyond our imaginations. We'll never know. We'll never. And the thing is, we're not supposed to understand what the other side of the world experiences, but we should appreciate what we do have. But it's hard for us to. And the thing is, you notice as a culture, when it comes to sad things that happen in the world, we'll all share on Instagram or social media, or we'll be sad about it. George Floyd, for example. And you wouldn't see many people speak about George Floyd anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that they're selfish, it doesn't mean they don't care. We're built as humans naturally to overcome grief. If we didn't, then we could not be functioning as human beings in this world. We'd be sad every single day.
Yeah.
We'll be mourning people who've died 25 years ago every single day. I mean, you know, we've all lost people close to us, and you know how you felt immediately on finding out their passing. You was devastated, you know. You know, I cried, wailed and cried when my grandma passed away. But you asked me last time I cried about her, it's been a while now. We get over grief, you know, and what happened in 2020, naturally we've got over. His immediate family will take longer, of course. But that's the thing, a lot of people think, are you selfish or am I selfish that I don't, you know, why doesn't nobody talk about BLM anymore? Does that mean you're selfish that you don't speak about it? No, it just means that it was such a traumatic thing. We are built to deal with trauma. And the thing is, that's the thing, I'm going off topic now. When you create things based on trauma, it's very hard for it to survive. Like the Black Panthers, for example. Our WhatsApp group is called the New Black Panthers, right? But the Black Panthers you don't really hear about the actual Black Panthers anymore. I'm sure they exist still, but you don't, because it's something that's based on trauma, and it would only pop up in times of trauma, and that would be it. You wouldn't hear about it. It'd be invincible, and that's why they struggle with funding, and you know, that's why BLM always struggle with funding. And people say, where's the money going? Because something that bad has to happen for you guys to donate. You're not going to think to donate to BLM right in this moment in time.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. So, I have no idea why I just said that.
Thank you for sharing your art, because
You're very welcome. Thank you.
the world needs to see it.
Thanks for having me.
It's not about keeping it to yourself anymore.
No, of course not. It's the first time I have shown anyone more than just you lot. So, you know, thanks very much.
And on that note, thank you for coming on, and the next one we'll shoot in Barbados.
Yes, please. Yes, please. You won't need to ask me twice. So
Yes. And I'm going to link everything below so you can get in touch with Anton if you need to have a chat about art or whatever we've discussed today. And I hope that you're having a blessed day or evening wherever you are in the world. And that's it from us today. So,
bye-bye. Hold on. Guys, you're being too loud.
I'm putting this in.
Yes.
Our audience.
Come on.
I'm not talking.
You're being
Gotta
too loud.
concentrate.
Come on.
Someone here said they fell asleep to Taxi Driver.
Oh, really?
You can tell them that afterwards.
Oh, wow.
Be quiet.
Wait, we're having to picture from notes.
You'd be one of them ones in class, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, I can see already. Yeah.